I know, I've seen the memes. Theo can't stop switching software, but this one's different. I used the same exact terminal for almost a decade, and I only moved from the Mac terminal to Ghostty because it was awesome. And I also learned how much the stock Mac terminal didn't follow standards and made life really hard for terminal UI maintainers. Ghosty's incredible. There's a reason I was so hyped when it came out, and that I've been using it for as long as I have. It is really fast, really good, reliable, customizable, open source, well-maintained, all the things you would want your terminal to be, which is why it's kind of crazy I'm moving off. My Ghostty setup is phenomenal. I couldn't be happier with it. It supports Cmux really well, and I've been a huge Cmux user for a very long time. Back when I was 15, I was using GNU Screen, and I've been on terminal multiplexers for as long as I've been using terminals for, honestly. Now that I do the numbers in my head, I'm about to turn 31. I've been doing this since I was 15. I've spent the majority of my life using terminal multiplexers. But I found myself making more tabs recently, which made a few things click in my head. Specifically, the hierarchy of the work I am doing does not map well to things like a terminal multiplexer. My work branches more, goes up and down more. The way I do things in parallel is getting stranger every day. Trying to group all this work in different windows, tabs, and panels was maddening. And I started to kind of figure it out. I even did an experiment where I forced myself to stop using Cmux for a few weeks. And I learned a lot about myself and my own workflows. And I also started to go a little bit insane. And then I discovered a new terminal that has absolutely rewired my brain. This is Cmux. And no, I did not make it. Cmux is built around libghosty, which is the core library that powers Ghostty. And it's awesome. I've been keeping an eye on the Manaflow team for a bit because I know Lawrence well and they've impressed me with other things. But Cmux has entirely changed my relationship with my terminal. And beyond that, it wasn't even that hard to adopt. Cmux is far from perfect, but the things it does well, it does so well that it's changed how I build a lot of things in parallel. I find myself working on more things at a time now than I ever have in my life. And without a tool like this, it would be nearly impossible to do it. But I also think there's a great opportunity for somebody to take what they've done and make it way, way, way better. I want to talk about all of this, from the problems I had to how Cmux solves them to the new problems Cmux introduces in my life, and most importantly, where I think all of this is going to go, and how maybe, just maybe, we will squeeze some of the best parts into T3 code. I also want to disclose that as a fan of the team, I did invest in Manaflow before I even knew they were building Cmux. I don't even think it started yet. But now that this company I invested in is exclusively building open source software for free, and if I don't want to lose all of my money to open source projects, we're going to have to make a little now. So we're going to do a quick break for today's sponsor. How's your AWS bill looking nowadays? Big, small, or other? Maybe you're getting it all comped with credits that you got from some startup accelerator. Regardless, it's probably higher than it should be, unless you've already used today's sponsor. Milkstraw's here to lower your bills on AWS. They can cut your costs by up to 50%, and they charge accordingly. They will only take 20% per month of the money they save you. Yes, really. So if they don't save you anything, you don't pay them anything. And if they are saving you money, you don't have to pay them a whole lot. It will still be a huge drop in your bill. By the way, if you're one of those startups that's on credits, no charge until you're off of those credits. They could have played dirty there, and they chose not to, and I have a lot of respect for them for that. I did a thing I probably shouldn't for a video. I uploaded our actual AWS bill, which is, to be fair, mostly used for upload thing, which means most of the costs are S3, which means most of the costs can't really be reduced. Despite that, it still found $1,000 I could be saving across the other services that we're using. If your bill isn't 90% S3, it can probably have 30% plus of it saved. This is a really, really good deal. They don't need crazy access. They just need the billing link. That's it. So they're not going to take over your whole AWS account for you. They're just going to point out what you can do to save money. Honestly, just for their dashboards that are actually useful, this would be worth it. I shit you not, I just spent 10 minutes trying to get the PDF out of AWS in the first place. This is so worth it. Your AWS costs are higher than they should be. Fix it now at soydev.link/milkstraw. So, why did I change terminals again? This goes back to a video I posted about an article I wrote not long ago, the agentic coding problem. I did my best to try and describe the way work is split up and how it's been breaking my brain lately, having the terminal with its own set of tabs or panels or whatever, the IDE, which is where you're writing the code, and then the browser with the local host and the GitHub, split across these different apps for different projects, just makes juggling everything hellish. And now I'm going to say something a little controversial that my friends at Manaflow probably won't like. The only thing I like Cmux for is how it collapses the terminal side of this. I only like it if I cut it off here. They have also attempted to solve the browser problem, and I hate it. And I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. But the way my terminal was split across different projects and the different things I'm doing in them was getting hellish. Having the dev server open, having the Git tab open, having Claude Code or Codex open was miserable. So let me show you a bit about how I work with Cmux right now. Here is my actual Cmux instance running with nothing hidden or closed before stream, just what I was doing earlier today. We have T3 code here, and I have 4 tabs split in half. It still supports the same hotkeys that you expect from using Ghostty. So Command D will still split 50-50 like this. But where things get really interesting is on a given split, you can open new tabs. And that's just within one of these sections. And you have the sidebar that you can switch between different things and also rename them. I'll rename this T3 code 1. And I'll rename this T3 code active, I guess. You'll notice it also integrates Claude Code pretty well, which is funny because even Claude Code doesn't integrate Claude Code particularly well. So when I run the Claude Code command, it now knows this is a Claude Code terminal. And if I run something like, what is this project? And I go somewhere else, it will tell me what the state of Claude is. It seems to be slightly broken because it says Claude is waiting for my input, but it's not. I just gave it my input. It might be in a broken state from before because I did something weird. But if I close all of these and try the other one, let's do that. I'm doing a demo. Ask me 2 simple questions. So I leave, and if this works how it's supposed to, I should get a notification from that terminal when it has asked the questions. And Claude Code did not use the question tool. They should be multiple choice questions, and you should use your tools to ask me. We'll see how that goes. It does seem like the Claude Code integration might have broken. Shame that Claude Code is Claude closed source, because then it'll be a lot easier for these types of integrations to work. It's crazy that Anthropic wants us to build so many things with Claude Code, but doesn't actually want to fix Claude Code or give us what we need to build on top of it. And there we see the little notification, the 1, letting me know that there's something here to respond to. Answer the questions, submit, go somewhere else. And then when it's done, it should give me another notification letting me know it is done. Great. That is not the thing I use this for. What I love this for is how I can organize the work I am doing. I have my sandbox here, which I didn't name, so I will now. My sandbox is my directory with all sorts of random bullshit projects that I just want to spin up quickly to go try something out. It's really nice having a sandbox directory when you're using these tools a lot. I have another T3 code here. Probably don't need that. I got an open code here because I was dicking around with the code base recently. Maybe we want to integrate that in something in the near future. Who knows? I can rename that accordingly to make it easier to see that this is open code. You can also pin. So I just pinned the T3 code workplace to the top because I use it a lot. I have the benchmarks I was working on for Skatebench earlier. And then another T3 code, Claude Code. Oh, this is when I was doing like UI stuff with. I still personally find Claude models to be the best for a lot of UI stuff. So it's not uncommon for me to be using Codex in T3 code and then use Claude Code in the terminal and like hop between the two for a given project. And what's really fun is that I can have these projects ordered the same way that I have them ordered in T3 code. So I have T3 code here and here. I don't have my sandbox in here because I don't really use Codex that way. I also haven't been working on Round recently, but if I was, I could go open that and throw that there. It's very easy to hop between apps and see what's going on in each of them. And if you want to organize things specifically based on what you're looking at any given time, it works great for that too. Something I do a lot is in the terminal I do my Claude coding in, I will open up another tab in this, I guess, pane. And in here, I will spin up my dev server. Bun run dev desktop. Because I don't need to be looking at this all of the time. It's in this same space, but it's really easy to see, and it's not taking up room at the same time. And that seems like a small thing, but this hierarchy of T3 code is the folder I'm in. This panel has Claude Code, and behind it, it has the bun run. And then on the other side, I have my Git terminal, the terminal I just use for all of my random Git stuff that I'm doing at any given time. Didn't need any of these changes. I'm just going to stash that. Git checkout main, git pull, and I am sure random shit has changed since. So when I do this, I'm expecting to see, a lot of stuff changed. So I'm just going to, it fails build. I expected that. So I'll hop here, cancel that, clear, bun install, bun run dev desktop. And now I have that running again. I have my whole setup roughly how I like. It is a little cramped right now because I'm using my monitor in 720p mode when I'm streaming. But when I'm working, it's a lot more zoomed out and a lot easier to use. But here, it's still relatively fine. I can close the sidebar if I want a little more space. And there's a lot of other nice things that are snuck in here. When you hold down the command key, it shows you on everything what the hotkey is to get to it. If I want to switch to my sandbox, it's command 2. Open code would be command 3. It's very easy to hop between those that way. And for switching tabs, I can hold Control instead and switch between the tabs like that. It's really good. Now that my work is split in such a way that I'm doing multiple things at the same time, especially across projects, having a sidebar with the projects I'm working on and then the window management within that for the task I'm doing there, this has been working great for me. There are places where it falls apart though. And this is a big part of why I wanted to make the video, because I see opportunities here for all of us to try and build something better. And I'm not the only one who feels like this either. Mitchell himself, the creator of Ghostty, came out and said as much. It's super exciting to see so many libghosty-based projects popping up. There was 2 on HN yesterday alone. This was always the real goal of Ghostty that he's been transparent about since the first public talk. Ghostty, the app, has always been a glorified tech demo for libghosty, which is what he planned and hoped would really take over the world eventually with a diverse set of terminal-adjacent things focused on specific goals and ideas. And that's what's happening. He is hyped. He's also been talking shit about the GUIs for managing agents, which I get. I've used a lot of them. They mostly suck. I've been forcing myself to use GUI agent apps for the past week just to learn. 1 week isn't enough experience yet, but I think they all miss the mark so far. And I'm deeply fighting the urge to do one with my own taste. I'm not going to do it. I asked him to tell me every problem he has so that we can make sure we do this properly with T3 code. I'm very excited to potentially get to build his dream app because he's already built so many of mine. And Cmux is a taste of what this could be. So what are the problems I have? You might have already seen one of them. It's a stupid bug and I'm sure it'll eventually get fixed. But for some reason, my status gets doubled up with my default theme in Zish. And what's even funnier is every time I clear, a new line appears. Or I just press enter on empty things. I have no idea what's causing this one, but I have just dealt with the fact that my terminals are getting stacked status lines. It's the worst. It annoys me so much. I'm sure they'll fix it. They haven't yet. It's been very annoying. There's also the browser built in, which could be potentially good eventually someday. But right now it just annoys me because it's a jank, what I'm assuming is a web view from Safari. It doesn't have any of my auth or my cookies, and it doesn't have support for extensions, so I can't use 1Password to sign into shit. It was what default opened when you clicked links, which broke a ton of my workflows. Something I do dozens of times a day when I'm coding is I will have a branch locally and I want to push it. So I'll do LG to open up LazyGet. I press the number 3 and then I press the letter O and it opens up a link to file a PR. I do that dozens of times a day and it was way more annoying in Cmux because it would open that in another tab in their app, which every single time it happened would piss me off. I'd copy the link, go over, and think to myself, I need to find a setting to turn that off, and then never do it. And eventually I gave up, went into settings, and found the option, open terminal links in Cmux browser. I turned that shit off as soon as I knew it existed. I hated that. But none of those are big enough problems to stop me from using it. It still feels way better than the solutions I've used in the past. But I want more. I know I sound selfish and crazy here, but hear me out. This works incredibly when I want to have multiple folders with different projects in them, and I want to work on them in parallel, especially if I'm not using Claude Code because I don't want to waste all of my RAM and CPU. But having a setup like this where I have the dev environment and the Git terminal for all of the things I'm working on at any given time, and if I need to spin up Claude Code or the Gemini CLI quick for a UI thing that I can't do in Codex, I can do that here fast. And that's felt great. But I want to go further. I think I want this to be infinitely nestable. I think I want the ability to have multiple different sections inside of here. And what I really want, and I tried vibe coding this out and couldn't get it working, admittedly not with too much effort, I also want infinitely scrollable. Shout out Brody, stealing a snippet of his video instead of going to record my own. I have recently been obsessed with Niri. Niri is not a tiling window manager. Tiling window managers are window managers where when you create new things, it takes space from old ones. So if I do Command-Shift-D, it will split this terminal vertically in half, which is great until you're using the space. So if I use btop for tracking what's going on my computer, and then I Command-D to split, it's now too small to even look at anymore. I used a tiling window manager for a long time. I used to be deep in the i3 world back in like 2015, 2016. I've put my time into these tools. They don't work for real work. I don't like them that much. If your life is a terminal and you're not using any terminal things that actually care about the size of the window, I'm sure it's fine, but I don't like them. And that's after years of experience. I have fallen in love with Niri though, and I will show you why. Watch as Brody opens new terminals and moves around here. You can zoom out if you want. I almost never find myself doing this. But when you open new terminals, they don't take space away from the old ones. They open up as new panes to the side, and you can slide around left, right. You can move things around. It's the term for this is a paper window manager, because every panel is a physical thing that commands its own size. And when you move them around, it's not changing the size of things. Each window is its own size of thing, and you're looking into it to figure out where you want to be. These are the windows you have on your machine. We'll say this one is your terminal, this one's your browser, this one's your editor. In a traditional tiling-based window manager, if I was here and I opened my terminal, it would split this in half and then open the terminal with 50% of the screen. This is why I love Niri. It doesn't work that way at all. The way Niri works is you have your window, the pane that you're viewing things through, and you effectively just move this around. So I can move to the right and see the browser and half of my editor, or I can move further right and see just the editor, or I could even set it up so the editor is like 2/3 the width of my window. So I can see the editor and I can see the edge of my browser. And then when I hover the mouse over, it'll just auto shift this so the browser is focused. And when I hover over the editor, it'll shift back that way. It feels magical because you can open more windows in any direction without it feeling cramped. Because you don't just go horizontal in Niri, you can go vertical too. And then you can move this window down and up. And you can shift these things left to right relative to the thing above. Like I can shift this here or here. And it's just so nice to navigate. For some people, this doesn't work at all. And I was told by many people there's going to be a huge learning curve to moving to Niri. I admittedly haven't moved fully because I've had too much shit I have to do on my Mac and just haven't had time to properly switch computers. But man, this flow clicked for me immediately, and I've been trying to replicate the high I got from it since. And what I'm realizing is I think you can do this inside of an app. Imagine that that was how Cmux worked. Each of these sections here is its own window arrangement. And in any one of them, I can scroll left to right between terminals, and I can go vertical for different tasks for a given project. Imagine if inside the app, I could 3-finger scroll or 2-finger plus hotkey scroll to slide left to right between terminals, and opening a new terminal would just shift over. And I could go down as well and still have this higher level project management as different sidebar tabs. I can't stop thinking about this now that I've thought about it. And now imagine you go a bit further. Imagine if instead of this always being terminals, you integrated Chrome, and not just like a Chromium shell. I'm talking that you grab the configs and the profiles from your existing Chrome install and use those to bring in things like your extensions and your passwords and your cookies. Imagine bringing in T3 code as a pane. So on this task, on the left, I'm choosing the project, and then in here, I could open up a T3 terminal that isn't a terminal. It's just a better UI that isn't using a CLI to show me that type of work. I could render an actual browser page. I could render a VS Code pane. You can do so much in a UI like this. And it was Cmux that made that click for me, that the future can actually be one app for our dev work. But what we need is the right hierarchy for our tasks that fits the shape of how our brains work. And the other thing I've realized is that half of you guys are going to think I'm insane and none of this makes any sense. And the other half are going to be like, holy shit, obviously that's how it all should work. This is why I am so excited for the future of building with these tools. On one hand, Cmux has to exist because AI has changed how we build, and working in parallel makes more sense. But on the other hand, this can only exist because of AI, making it viable for a 2-person team to work on this on the side alongside other stuff. It's so cool. Question is, how aren't macOS Spaces doing the same thing for you? macOS Spaces are the upside down version of what I'm looking for here. They are, to be frank, as Igor said there, they are kind of shit. There are so many places where they just fundamentally break down that I just refuse to use them now. I just straight up don't bother anymore. I only have one space at any given time. Things like switching between apps just breaks down fundamentally. I can't tell you how many times I command tabbed and it pulled me back to a different workspace and then pulled me where I was again. I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to group things differently and really couldn't because the workspaces doesn't work that way. I can't tell you how many times I had to go hunt to figure out which window of which app had which thing in it, and I open a new one and it's in the wrong place, and then I have to navigate around macOS to do it. I like that way of putting it, Igor. They don't isolate where they should, and they do isolate where they shouldn't. It just doesn't work well. It's great for normies who want to have like 3 things open and can deal with these super, super slow animations to hop between them. We're talking like up to half a second to switch workspaces. It's so bad. It's so slow. I can't use them. And you can't even turn down the animation speed on Mac. You just have to turn off animations, and it only slightly increases the speed and gives you this awful fade instead. It's awful. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. And like, I would glaze Apple if they were usable for this. They are not. And now that I've tried Niri and I've seen how fast and good this can feel, I hate using my Mac. Niri broke me, and Cmux showed me that we can still be saved. Cmux showed that we can do something like this within an app instead of having to do it at the OS level. And I am desperately trying to not have to make a window manager for Mac or a fucking operating system. Cmux showed me that there is a path here. It showed me that by making a terminal that's actually really nice to use. This is the terminal I use every day. That's why all of my windows are open here. That's why my Ghostty instance hadn't been opened in multiple days and is super out of date, because I just don't use it anymore. I use Cmux as my daily driver terminal, and I cannot believe I have moved off of Ghostty. That all said, I think we're still in the early stages of this. The idea of working on multiple things in parallel is still so new to software that most of our tools don't work well for it. They just don't. Things like VS Code does not handle this well. Things like Cmux doesn't handle this well. Things like Hyperland or macOS. None of the tools I used already felt like they were built for this type of heavily parallel work. And I think we're finally making progress here. I think a lot in terms of like generations for tech, where we had the hosting solutions before AWS, and then we had the hosting solutions before Vercel. If you made something that looked like AWS after Vercel happened, it would look kind of silly. This doesn't feel like a good version of current gen tech. This feels like the shitty duct-taped version of the next generation. And that's very exciting to me. I got a taste of the future when I use Cmux, and it's a taste I can't get rid of. And I hope for many of y'all, you'll feel the same. And I pray that a handful of y'all will go do your own things with it or similar things to it so that we can continue to explore to figure out what the future of the dev tools we use looks like. I don't have an answer to this, by the way. I don't know how I'll be building software in a few months from now because we're still trying to figure out how to organize the chaos of the modern way of building. And I'm very excited to see what others build. And in the interim, I'm very excited to use Cmux. So yes, I have moved off of Ghostty for Cmux. And yes, I do think any Mac user doing heavy agentic work should give Cmux a shot. But even though I'm an investor, I don't know if I'll still be using it in a month. I don't know if I'll still be using it in 2 weeks. I don't know if I'm going to build a better solution myself or if somebody else is going to do it or if Cmux is going to just become everything I need and more. I have no fucking idea where anything is going right now. All I know is that this makes it easier for me to organize the work I'm doing. And when you combine this with something like T3 Code, having the different sections to organize the work you are doing feels awesome. And then I open VS Code and it all falls apart. I think that's all I have to say on this one. Thank you to the Manaflow team for building this and making it open source. It's a really, really cool project, and I couldn't be more excited to see where this all goes. Let me know how y'all feel, and please let me know when you start building your own similar things. The future is being built today, and I don't know what it is just yet. Can't wait to see what y'all build, and until next time, peace nerds.